Hello, my name is Paul Parkinson. I'm going to walk you through a app where you can use OCI real-time speech to then talk with the Oracle database using a feature called Select AI, which is natural language to SQL, and then have the database return the response to you. And so that's the nature of the application, as simple as that. But, of course, this is going to become quite valuable, not just the typing exchange of Gen AI, but the actual just being able to talk to it, talk to your own data in the database the way you do with, Siri or Alexa or whatever. So let's get into it. Uh, this is basically, or it is, the part of the workshop called Develop with Oracle AI and Database Services. So this workshop has a whole list, as you can see here, of different combinations of using Oracle database and OCI AI in the database, and using AI services together, kind of in different combinations. And so that's I told you, basically what's going on with this. Let me tell you just very quickly about the architecture. So in this workshop, I have this little diagram, and it just shows kind of the different ways of that AI applications are built. You might have something where you're storing information in object storage or whatever, then you're calling AI, which is then retrieving it from object storage, and then you're storing the results. Or maybe you are calling, storing, putting the media in object storage or something like that, calling the database, and the Oracle database can call the AI services, which can in turn call storage or just use information in the database wherever it may be stored. Okay. And so that's nice because it's all on the cloud side. You're reducing the number of calls, nice for security. And then what's of course very nice is if you can just have the application call the database and AI services. Or we can even run Java, JavaScript, and Python in the database. So you could even have it entirely within the database, just maybe expose a REST endpoint. You can expose anything in the database as a REST endpoint and call in. So what's unique about the application I'm describing to you, and what's unique about real-time and real-time speech, is the fact that you really do have to have the clients, the functionality on the client, right? If it's real-time speech, I'm not sending things over to storage and then retrieving them from storage and things like that. It's a constant stream. We're setting up a WebSocket and all this. So the architecture is a little bit different because of that characteristic. And so what's going on here is the application is calling the speech AI service. And then the application is sending that result to the database to get um, the SQL that answers the question that is sent over. And then that SQL works actually with the Gen AI service behind the scenes. So there's this interchange here to get that SQL, the appropriate SQL based on the information, the meta given to it about the Oracle database. That's kind of a big part of the unique feature of Select AI. And then returning those results to the application. And just very quickly, I'll get into this a little bit more, but and I'm going to make this whole thing fairly quick, as quick as possible. But when you do these queries, you can bring it back in four ways. So Select AI is nice for its variability. You can talk in narrate or chat, that we're familiar with as far as just getting narration or chatting with the database. Or you can get back the actual SQL. So it's a straight up SQL command, that's been created from Gen AI and Select AI. Or you can get the SQL command and run it. So it got the SQL, it ran it, and you're getting back the raw results. So there's four options. We're using just the narrate option in this case, in this demo, but it's literally, changing the keyword as far as which one you use. Okay. So again, this is the workshop showing how to use them together. This is a workshop just on Select AI. So if you want to go a little deeper on Select AI, I do just the basics to get this going. If you want to go a little deeper, this chat with your data in autonomous using generative AI is the workshop for just the Select AI part. And then this is the one that puts it all together. Okay. So now I'm going to um, pop over to PyCharm here over to the IDE. And what I'm doing here is in the application, you can choose your type of security. So I'm using security token. And very quickly, just to give you, kind of all the background, if you've never used OCI or something like that, you're just going to go ahead and install the OCI CLI, which is just download it, install it. And then you're going to run a command to create an OCI config file. And I'm not going to show you my config file, but it has the key print, the location of your key, your tenancy ID and your user ID and your region. Okay, so just the basic information, just search on that or come to this quick start page here. You'll be set up with that. So it's as easy as that. Then when you do that, what I've started here is I've issued this command to create a token. Okay. And it's as easy as that. Just the auth I'm going to use for this is a security token. I'm doing an authenticate, and I'm saying to write that to my config file. Write a profile with this name and get a token for us to use to connect to the OCI speech AI service that's going to do our real-time speech to text transcription, right? So I've done that. It asks for your region. I put in the region. For me, it's Phoenix, which is 60. That pops up your browser window, and you just log into your OCI console, and that'll authenticate, and it brings you back here. And then you go ahead and enter the name of the profile. That can be any name. And then we see that I've just echoed some information, but then we see that that has written the information to the config file that is used. Okay, and that's just a created token. And so I'll go into the code after I show this demonstration. And in the code, the only thing you have to put in there is your compartment ID and that profile name that I just showed there, that Paul Speech AI or whatever you used is all you need to put in there. Okay, so we've set up authorization. Let's get into the app and show you what's going on here. Okay, and so I'll go ahead and run the program here. It's going to ask for two passwords. The first password being the password for the database user, and the second password being for the wallet. Since I'm connecting to a cloud database, I'm using the wallet for encryption. Excuse me. And so it's going to enter that password. And when I hit enter, the program will run, and you will see that anything I say, it will print out in text in the console. And then I will say this command. I can say any natural language query. That's the whole point of this. But the first thing I will say is select AI, and that will be the trigger for this program to know if it hears select AI, send it over to the database, send the rest of the query over to the database with, in this case, the action narrate by default. And, you could build in a prompt logic where, you could use narrate or chat or show SQL, whatever you want to use. So anyway, it's going to pick up the fact that I say select AI and then send over to the database the select AI natural language query of the rest, okay? And then get the result back in narrate format. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I must have entered the password wrong. Let me just do this again. Select AI. I am looking for the top 5 selling movies for the latest month, please. Okay, now I'm going to shut this off because it's going to keep saying what I'm saying, and I'll show you what happened just then. So what happened is, just as I told you, it got these partial results, and then it got this final result here, when it figured it out nicely. And you see how quick it is too. It's really nice, both the database and the speech AI. I'm at home doing this. I'm not in the cloud or network or anything. And so then we see that the query, it goes ahead and sends that query over to the database. The database does its logic as far as the select AI functionality and the meta of the data that's in the database and sends it to generative AI. It gets back the appropriate SQL to execute. That's the great thing is you don't really need to know SQL to use this. Obviously, anyone can use this using English or whatever. And then it goes ahead and issues that SQL. So basically it's doing a few things, right? It's generating the SQL, it's running the SQL, and then it's narrating back to you the results of that SQL in natural language. And so we see the answer to our question here. Okay. So pretty cool, pretty simple. And now I'm going to just kind of walk you through some of the steps of how this was set up. Okay. So first, let's go over to in this video, I'm going to be super quick about it. And then I'll refer you to the blogs and things like that. So the first thing we did is I'm simply reusing this workshop. So if you want to do the setup, you just go through this workshop. This will take you, maybe half hour tops, even if you go through the database, if you go through the whole workshop to set up the database, and it'll load this movie stream data. Of course, you can use your own data, but it's just, if you want to get this up and running real quick, just run this workshop and you'll have the database set up, and it will set up few basic things. So I was going to show you a bunch of references here, but basically, if you're searching on Select AI or if you're searching on my name, or these things I'm mentioning, you're going to find the information. But let me go through all the tabs here, open on my desktop to give you an idea of where to go to. So there's this workshop and the workshop that's literally for this app I'm showing. So with just by going to this workshop, it's going to lead you everywhere else. You do this workshop as a step in this to set up Select AI. But then there are a number of different resources out there as far as blogs. So straight up searching on Oracle Select AI, as I say, this is the main page. There's a blog by Mark Hornick. Marty is the other resource who's doing the PM, the real PM for Select AI. I'm just doing things. I'm a developer advocate. I'm putting these together. Then you have the documentation, of course, and then these are my blogs. I'll plug my blogs real quick. I'm on DZone, on Oracle, on Medium. If nothing else, check me out on LinkedIn. Would be great because I put, everything on LinkedIn. I also have stuff on Hacker Noon. And yeah, that's about it. So again, let's look at Mark's blog here. He has pretty distilled. You're basically setting up, and again, this is in the workshop. You're just setting up privileges. And so maybe right now I will actually even, speak in the same breath about setting up OCI speech. So when you get into OCI speech, you will simply go in and add a policy that says, allow my user to use the OCI speech service. So it's that easy. And that's, as I say, that's in the workshop. So that's all you need. And then you're just getting I'm using Python. You saw me in PyCharm here, to get that library, to use the Python client library for the OCI real-time speech transcription service, right? And when I look at the Python code, this will bring it all together. And then on the database side, you are just giving it privileges to call out to the whatever your service you're using. And so you can use, the database supports a number of them. It supports, of course, OCI, Gen AI service, Cohere, OpenAI. There's another one that escapes me at the moment. But you're just setting up a credential and naming it so you can call it by name in the database, right? So you have your policy to access the service, what the credentials are, and then that's it. You're just telling the Select AI what to use. And the key package here, there are two real kind of key cloud packages in the database. There's two that you need to know. There's DBMS Cloud AI, which is all the Select AI stuff that I'm talking about. All right, that's what it's for. And then there's a DBMS Cloud package, as we use up here. That's for everything else as far as the database accessing cloud resources, OCI cloud resources, right? So if you know those two packages in the database, you know it all, you're good to go. And that's all there is to it. And then you are literally just making queries against the database with select AI at the beginning of them. So it's these new keywords that are added to the database. So that's all there really is for setup. I know it was a little literally hand wavy, but it's in the workshop and it really is, for OCI, you're just entering grant privilege for my user. And then your application is using that same user, of course, that config file I mentioned earlier. And then you're just setting up, you're just naming stuff in the database side. This is the AI provider name and associating that with your data. So you can this goes into more details, but you can give more data, more meta about your data to the Jane AI service that's doing the handshake and working with the Select AI feature. And that in the doc, of course, elaborates on that. But I've done nothing more than what was done in this workshop, in this example. Okay. So now let's go through the code. So the only thing you have to replace in this code, as I say, is the profile name and the compartment ID. So let me show you those very quickly. Okay, so if you'll recall, my profile name was this. So as far as authenticating, we're just getting the config and mentioning that profile that I mentioned when I created the token earlier. And that's it. And then we are also providing the compartment ID. Okay. And so those are the two things that are variable to you. Then the only other thing is the real-time speech URL. And that's, I'm using Phoenix, whatever region you happen to be in, you would just provide that. Okay. So let's look at the source a little bit. We have, this is just the password prompting stuff. This is for the audio, Python audio. This is the Oracle driver. So I'm using the new Python thin driver, super fast driver. And now it's like I say, it's thin. So you just import it and that's all there is to it. And then of course the OCI real-time client service. Okay. So we get the password and we get a connection for the database that we'll use if someone says select AI. So let's search on that. What I'm doing is, I'm just keeping a tally of the cumulative results. And then if it starts with select AI, I say it should be is select AI equal true. Then I'm going ahead and once that command is complete, it will check if is select is true. I'm just have a loop there and it will go ahead and call this execute select AI. And then it's just taking exactly that prompt that we saw down here, and feeding it in, right? So you see the lineup of the execute select AI that's where we are here, and feeding it into the database, and then I get the results back, and I'm just displaying them to the screen. So of course, so that's it. Okay, that's the tutorial. And then the next logical step, of course, would be, okay, I want speech back, not just text. I'm talking speech and I want speech back. So then you would just, of course, take this and call the speech AI service to do the text to speech and send it back to you. Okay. I haven't done that yet. I actually am going to do that next and add it to this if you want to check back. But you get the idea. You're able to, talk in natural language and get information from the database. So it's great talking to your database, not just to your database, not just setting your clock or seeing what the weather's going to be, Very powerful, interactive when you put the two technologies together. So hope that made sense, and check out the blog, for details. Really pretty easy to set up and really powerful. I definitely would love to hear your questions and feedback on this, and thanks for watching.